discussions around transparency and the discussions around how we report on what we do. What is the type of data we need to gather? How do we analyze this data? How do we share information on this data? Is something that has been a question for many, many years in these negotiations. And as we can see from the discussions that will happen today and the presentations that are happening, that there are many countries that are leading the way on this. They are on the frontier of this. They are doing things that other countries can learn from. Their leadership and their ability to bring all of these pieces together is a lesson for everyone in this process. And it helps to build trust and accountability, which is something that this process really depends on to be able to succeed. In my role as the head of climate policy and the head of the Climate Promise, we have supported nearly 130 countries with their nationally determined contributions. And we're very, very proud of this. We're proud of being able to support countries as they come up with ambitious targets, as they begin to chart an entirely new way on addressing the climate crisis. And this means that we need this data, and we need to know how countries can begin to report on some of the activities that they are undertaking, to be able to share this with the world so that we know how we're all doing when it comes to the NDCs, and we can identify any needs, any gaps that need to be supported by the global community. And of course, this doesn't start from scratch. We have support across RED+ measurement, reporting and verification, market readiness, national adaptation plans, adaptation metrics. Many of these elements have been developed at the national level that we can use as building blocks to help countries to fulfill the promise that they have made within their NDCs, making good use of the enhanced transparency framework. Now, UNDP is very proud to be partnering with Belgium, with UNEP, with PATPA, and with the GEF to be able to provide the support. Over the last decades, we've been able to support 110 countries working on their enhanced transparency requirements, working on transparency issues, and we of course only want to begin to scale this up as countries are faced with new challenges and new needs as the requirements from this process really start to take shape, including for the biannual transparency reports as a contribution to the global stocktake that will happen next year. So on behalf of UNDP, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your lessons on this journey. There are countries that can learn a lot from you. And to our partners of Belgium, thank you so much for hosting us here. We have been such close partners on this journey, and we appreciate it and your support so very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much all for the presence. So thank you very much, Casey, for the introductory remarks. We will have Lisbeth Gozan from the Belgian government to present to us, so please take the floor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here on behalf of the Belgian Federal Minister in charge of the climate, the environment and sustainable development, Minister Zakia Katabi. She couldn't be here with us this afternoon, but she did find it important that a word was said on her behalf. As soon as she took office, late 2020, she found it very important to engage in international collaboration to ensure that we collectively achieve our Paris Agreement goals. Le cadre de transparence renforcée de l'accord de Paris est essentiel pour instaurer et maintenir la confiance entre les parties. Il permettra de suivre le progrès accompli dans la mise en œuvre des engagements et d'évaluer, ajuster et ajuster la politique climatique menée si besoin. La transition vers ces cadres représente cependant un défi pour beaucoup de pays, et les pays en développement en particulier. Nombreux sont ces pays confrontés à des difficultés persistantes concernant l'estimation des émissions de gaz à effet de serre et l'évaluation de leurs impacts climatiques. Ainsi, il est clair que le cadre de transparence de l'accord de Paris ne peut pas être efficace sans une collaboration soutenue entre États et les parties prenantes comme le PNUD. La Belgique, membre du partenariat pour la transparence de l'accord de Paris, soutient depuis plusieurs années des activités des clusters francophones et lusophones. Ces clusters jouent un rôle important pour les experts praticiens des pays en développement en offrant une plateforme dynamique et participative qui permet l'échange d'informations entre pairs dans leur langue de travail. Dans le contexte d'une augmentation de sa contribution au financement climatique international, la Belgique est heureuse de contribuer à la deuxième phase du programme Climate Promise du PNUD, intitulé From Promise to Impact, à travers ce projet pour la mise en place du cadre de transparence renforcé en particulier. La Belgique contribue au volet transparence de l'initiative Climate Promise du PNUD afin de renforcer le travail de ces deux clusters linguistiques en étroite collaboration avec d'autres partenaires. Cette contribution permettra de soutenir des échanges sud-sud, l'organisation d'ateliers régionaux et la mise à disposition des formations et d'outils qui répondent aux besoins identifiés. La continuité de ce travail à travers le Climate Promise était un point qui tenait à cœur à la ministre Katabi et à son administration. Je vous remercie pour votre attention et je vous souhaite une session dynamique et inspirante.
Thank you, merci. Now I would like to invite our manager of the Enhanced Transparency project, Richmond Ossi. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, my dear Tiago, for your support and for your very great moderation you are here. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just introduce to you. Okay, sorry. It's okay now? Okay. Let me just introduce to you the project, the Enhanced Climate Transparency Project, in particularly Lusophone and Francophone countries. Next slide. Slide? Okay, oh, I have it here, sorry. I think this is not working, right? Oh, great. This is the technology. Now we are just working under the UNDP's Climate Promise. UNDP's Climate Promise, who is the world largest offers that will deliver support to countries, particularly developing countries, to be very ready for enhance the national engagement and also working on particularly supporting maybe more topics for every activities related to climate change. We are working with a lot of countries and in collaboration with 35 partners, and this is going on. For this Climate Promise initiatives, leading by Cassie, our manager for this overall program, who is supporting more than 120 countries. We are working to build a political will. We are working to support countries to enhance their engagement, enhance their ambitions on climate change. We are also working to incorporate new sectors in the climate change priorities at national level, and working to assess cost, working on monitoring and reporting aspects. Oh, right. Where's the PowerPoint? Now we are just working to present the Belgium project, who is the ECT project. The ECT is the Enhanced Climate Transparency Project. As you know, transparency is the key point of the Paris Agreement, and it's related to all aspects of negotiations. As you are talking about carbon market, you are talking about loss and damages, you are talking about how to report on climate finance and other things. So here we are working on specific topics. Firstly, this project is targeting developing countries to support them to enhance the climate transparency framework at national level, and also to work with them to develop a kind of source of collaborations and sharing experiences. And these objectives will be delivered onto two outputs. The first one is to support Francophone and Lusophone MRV clusters, to maintain and strengthen, including all of aspects related to bilateral peer-to-peer exchanges, in-country sessions, training sessions, and so on. We have also the second output, who is related to trainings and other relevant technical papers. For example, we are working to translate some important document who is prepared in English, for example, in French and in Portuguese, to have better access for developing countries, Lusophone and Francophone one. And this report will be delivered for a time frame of 4 years, and it's majorly supported by the Belgian government with the support of Camille and Gert and colleagues here. Thank you so much for that. The Transparency Network countries, we have 8 Francophone, Lusophone countries and 27 Francophone countries. They are here in the world, and the major ones are in Africa, but we have some in South Africa, in South America, and also in Asia and Caribbean, so on. So we have 4 areas of support. The fourth area of support, firstly, it's the country's MRV and transparency system improvement. This is important to work on the GG missions, and also to work to enhance the institutional arrangement at national levels, and working with countries to work on the assessments on how to report, maybe for example adaptations, how to report support needed, support received, and so on. The second area is the BTR and NATCOM, maybe development and quality assurance. A lot of countries have submitted and is preparing the BUR, Biennial Update Report, and also BTR, Biennial Transparency Report. We know that by the end of 2024, every country should submit the first BTR, and developing countries need to be well prepared and very deeply aware of that in order to submit the BTR and improve the NATCOMs with the support of colleagues like Thiago, who is coordinating the Lusophone countries. We have the third area, who is support to the technical review expert. When you submit your first draft of your NATCOM, a BUR or BTR, you received maybe some technical review, some technical oversight of some expert, international expert, and our project and our team is ready to support countries to integrate this comment and to give deliver support answers to this. And the last one is capacity development and knowledge exchange. We are here in a network approach, so it's important to learn from each other to another one, and it's very good to have a very deep collaboration among countries to have a very good access to climate change, climate finance, climate support, and so on for every country. These are some key achievements. We have started a few months ago, but during this short period, we have already delivered 3 technical workshops. We have one in July in Cabo Verde, and the other one in August in Gabon, and the last one in October in Portugal. So this was very interesting with countries. And also in country direct support, with support of Thiago and Musa, we have delivered direct support in country sessions for Mozambique, for example, Niger, Cape Verde, Sao Tome and Principe, and other various countries. I hear that we have delivered also support to Côte d'Ivoire during the National Dialogue on Transparency, which was very interesting. How to access this support available? The support is available and you can access. You are all eligible to access this support. And we have 4 steps. Firstly, it's the request. You should submit a request. And secondly, we will work for the evaluation, the second step. The third one is to deliver the support, and the fourth one is to assess the results. So for these 4 steps, the kind of support available is, for example, in-country technical support and training sessions, and also sorts of exchanges and networks, including between 2 or 3 countries, for example. We have also regional training sessions. The next one is scheduled in Bonn on December. We have also fund transfers to countries, which will be included in the Climate Promise Annual Work Plan. And the key criteria is maybe based on, for example, as the first come, first serve, but related to key criteria, for example, the commitment and ambition of the countries. And also we'll make a rapid assessment of the available funds in your country, and at least working with the last criteria, who is alignment with a country priorities and INDCs. This is the Transparency Help Desk, already available in French, in Portuguese, and in English. So feel free to express your needs in your own language and with your own words. Our team will be very happy to support you and to understand what you need and to deliver appropriate reactions to you. And this Transparency Help Desk have 3 concept notes in French, Portuguese, and in English. And you just go to the network here, the official website of the Climate Promise, and download these templates. And you should maybe fill this template and submit it to the Transparency Desk at undp.org to receive our assistance and to work with you during all aspects of your work. These are the model of the Transparency Help Desk template. Firstly, we need to fill out the identification of a requester, the country name, title details, contact, and so on. After giving information of type of support requested and objectives, descriptions of the current context and ongoing support, also concrete activities expected, and work plan and estimated budget. This aspect and the second one is very important for us to know currently what kind of support do you have already in your countries, how our partners are already engaged, and how we can collaborate, because we need to not duplicate every kind of work, but we need to build additional support, additional competencies to your work you are already doing in your countries. And last, this is the team. Claudia is not here. Claudia is just the oversight. The project team is here. We are here. And my colleague Thiago, supporting the Lusophone countries, is already here. And Musa, who is based in Senegal, is not here currently. And Zenep, who is based in Istanbul, and myself is based in Côte d'Ivoire, in Abidjan. And our oversight, Claudia, who is sharing his greetings with you, is based in New York. Okay, this is the project, this is our team, and thank you very much.
Merci, thank you very much, Richmond, for the presentation of the project. I believe it was very clear, and we hope that we receive a lot of additional requests coming from the participant countries. Now we would like to have a panel that will have a presentation of two Lusophone, two Francophone countries. So I would like to ask the participants, the speakers, to actually join me here at the front. So the first one is from Cabo Verde, Alexandre Neves Rodrigues, the Special Advisor to the Minister of Agriculture and Environment. Please. From Seychelles, Tony Irmandua, the Principal Secretary for Energy and Climate Change. From Mozambique, we have Muri Soares, MRV Specialist from the National Fund for Sustainable Development. And from Niger, Daura Mamadou, MRV Specialist, National Environment Council for Sustainable Development. So please. We will start with specific presentations from each one of our speakers. I kindly invite Dr. Alexandre to come to present the experience from Cabo Verde. Yes. I just would like to project the slides from Cabo Verde, please. Yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. It was easy for us if it was possible to speak in Portuguese, but I know you are in disadvantage here because you can't speak in Portuguese, you have to speak in foreign language, and this is the first disadvantage for negotiation part, for us who speak Portuguese. Okay, so I will be very brief in our presentation. So, first of all, to localize Cabo Verde. Cabo Verde is a small archipelagic country with 10 islands. Okay, thank you. With 10 islands and belongs to the Sahel region. Cabo Verde is committed to implement. Next slide. Is committed to implement the UNFCCC Convention and the Paris Agreement, and we are currently, I will just skip all the other commitment that we did, just to focus in the first national communication. We did first national communication in 2000, and in 2011, the second national communication, in 2017, the third national communication, and now we are preparing the fourth national communication and our first BUR. And this shows the challenge that we have to go to the ETF process, because in this since 1995 until now, we just prepared 4 national communication, but I think it's the challenge for all our countries who don't have this capacity to prepare all the communication that we have to prepare in this framework. And the same for the BUR. It's our first and the last. Because next one will be BTR. So this is the challenge, and we'll see in the presentation more specifically the challenge that we have. In this current process for MRV, we have to prepare the national communication each 4 years. We have to prepare each 2 years the BUR, and this document, the BUR, will be analyzed, technical analyzed by the international consultation and analysis. In the MRV reports, we have to include the national climate action, the support that we need, and the inventory of the greenhouse gas. In this new process, ETF process, we have the BTR. We have to present the BTR each 2 years, and with these 5 elements, we have to present the greenhouse gas inventory, tracking the progress towards NDC, climate change impacts, adaptation, and loss and damage. We have to present support to provide, not us, but the developing country. We have to present support provided and mobilized, and we have to present support needed and received from the other countries. And the process will be a review by the technical expert, and we have a new framework, the facilitative multilateral consideration of progress. It's a very important step to go to GST to report about the global emission in the GHG. But the BTR introduces important improvements to the report in terms of scope and level of detail, with more advanced methodologies and using the IPCC 2006 guidelines that I think all the countries are using now. This guideline is more complex than the other that we have. And the first BTR must be delivered in December 31, 2024. And it implies more robust arrangement in countries and a high level of technical capacity to implement the BTR. And the challenge that we have, I put here three kinds of challenge. We have challenge in the institutional arrangements, challenge in the reporting requirements, and challenge in technical and financial capacity. In the institutional arrangement, I think it's a problem in all developing country and the least developing country, is the poor institutional arrangement for reporting. And then every time we have to prepare a new report, it increases the workload to collect and analyze the data each time, because we must be done new arrangements. And this is the big problem that we have. And the reporting arrangements are set up on a project base, and when the project is, when we achieve the end of the project, normally we achieve the end of this arrangement. And with the new necessity for a report, we have to make a new arrangement to the report. This is a big challenge that we need to face to improve our capacity to implement the ETF. In the reporting requirement, it's poor in the understanding of different reporting requirements and the possible linkage between each sectors. And in technical and financial capacity, we have limited technical capacity of the country in matters related to the inventors. And this limited capacity, it's because it's a few people who have sufficient knowledge, skills to work with the inventory, and limited financial resource to strengthen the technical capacity of the institution. This is the big challenge that we have to go through the ETF process. And we are facing this challenge with the support of Luxembourg government. We have a support from 10 million euros from 5 years. And with this 10 million euros, we will strengthen country-level climate coordination and planning to help us to implement ETF, improve national climate, support climate technology, science and knowledge, improve national climate diplomacy, geopolitical and language skills, because it's very important, strengthen the mobilization of climate finance, strengthen civic empowerment for climate and communication, support the implementation of framework for monitoring, reporting and verification, and the last support for capacity building and improved access to finance for decentralized climate action. Because we are islands, we need to decentralize the climate action. And this is the scope of the new arrangement that we will build with the support of Luxembourg. And this new arrangement will improve our capacity to report and to implement the ETF process. I don't will go through this, but I think we have two important levels that I need to refer here. Is the decentralized level, with the municipalities, and the last one, the involvement of the civil society and the private sector in the process of implementing climate change policy in our country. So, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alexandre. It was a brilliant presentation on the requirements and challenges. I now invite Dr. Tony to come to present Seychelles' experience. Yeah, I will, no, please. I would just, indicate.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Thiago. Unfortunately, I don't have a presentation, but I'm going to talk to you about the experience of Seychelles with regards to the MRE process. As you know, Seychelles is a small island, around 115 islands spread across 1.3 million square kilometers of sea. In the other side, not like my colleagues from Cape Verde is in the Atlantic, we are in the Indian Ocean. So for us, Seychelles, to comply with the ETF, we recognize there's the need to establish the right appropriate MRV process. With that said, we have started that process through the review of our national communication, which is the BUR and the third national communication. And through that process, we've kind of identified a number of gaps with regards to the whole current MRV process locally, especially when it comes to data. What are the data that are being collected, how they are collected, and who are the one that is collecting the data. So for us, as part of moving forward to comply with the ETF, we need to establish a more appropriate frameworks in regards to how we go about the MRV process. So we already started some work locally. We're working with national consultants who's developing a MRV system based on mitigation action. And lately we've been having discussion with partners like UNDP to see how we can expand to other chapters like adaptation and climate finance. Also, what we did identify with regards to putting in place the right framework for MRE is that the MRE system put in place is not enough. We really need to ensure we have the right institutional arrangement put in place, and that for us is important because we need to have an organization or structure, governance structure that will main role is basically to provide oversight and coordination and management of the MRV system and activities. So to do that, we're currently establishing a MRV working group locally. With the main role is basically to oversee the design and implementation of the national MRV system for adaptation, mitigation, and climate finance. Also, with the working group will have to agree who's the lead institution that will have to develop the appropriate, lead institution that will oversee this process. Then again, what we need to do once we have established the institutional framework is to also develop the appropriate rules and guidance. And we will be doing that through legislation that will not only strengthen the political will, but also will formalize the governance framework for regards to MRV. I would like also to touch on another aspect that is very important for us is, for us to move on with the whole MRV framework, it's important that we address the capacity gaps within islands, and islands like Seychelles it's real, it's difficult. Like myself, I'm just recently been appointed the Principal Secretary for Climate Change and Energy. Previously, I was on the regulatory side, so now I moved to the policy side. So trying to find the right balance between the technical and the policy side is a bit challenging, and you end up wearing a number of hats. And this is the reality on the small islands, that you have people being stretched, overwhelmed with a number of activities, and for us, establishing the right approach is important. How do we do that? So this is something we are starting to learn through this whole MRV process, that it needs to be a mix of public service people within government, but also then you have local consultants who used to even work for the government but then moved into this area, and then also partner up with other organizations internationally to help create a sort of a local network of capacity of people or experts that can really work on this MRV system and framework as part of the whole ETF guidelines that we need to follow. So that's it, and thank you very much for coming here today and listening for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tony. I'm pretty sure that also the audience have additional questions. I ask everyone that have questions, please take note. After we have the presentations, we'll have a session of questions and answers. Now I would like to invite our expert from Mozambique, Muri Soares. Please, you have the floor to present on the forestry monitoring of Mozambique. Thank you.
Hello, thank you. So I will be talking about forest monitoring in Mozambique, specifically the establishment of an MRV system for REDD+ over the last few years. So Mozambique is a country located in southeastern Africa with an area of about 80 million kilometers square, a population of almost 28 million, and a relatively large area of forest, over 32 million kilometers square, of which most of it is tropical dry forest, specifically Miombo forests. So Mozambique has been working on REDD+ for quite a few years. In 2016, we established our national REDD+ strategy. And then in the next year, we produced the National Forest Inventory, and we also conducted estimation of activity data for deforestation and other land use cover changes. These two elements allowed us to submit the country's first FREL in 2018, and also on the legislative side, the country issued the REDD+ decree, which established ownership of carbon credits and regulates how the REDD+ projects work. So the establishment of the national MRV system for REDD included the creation of the MRV units for REDD+, of which I belong. This unit was created in 2016 with finance from the FCPF Readiness Funds. It was initially a unit composed of 6 people, and it has been gradually expanding, and now we are about 15 technicians. This unit initially was responsible for the coordination of the NFI, and also the production of activity data for REDD+. This was the main initial activities. We have also been coordinating the installation of permanent sampling plots in Mozambique, including leading the quality assurance and quality control process. We produced the FREL document and also have been providing technical assistance to the Ministries of Environment and Agriculture. So the national MRV system for RED obviously includes a lot of different institutions in the country, including the National Director of Forests, which is the lead agency for the National Forest Inventory, the Agricultural Research Institute of Mozambique, which is the institution that is responsible for permanent sampling plots, and they also provide technical expertise for plant species identification. And finally, academic institutions in the country helped design the NFI, and also they provide specific allometric equations for carbon estimation. So the country, like I said, submitted the first FREL in 2018. This FREL included only deforestation as the RED activity. It had, with regards to the carbon pools, above ground and below ground biomass, and the gases, it was CO2. And the period was 2003 to 2014, and this was to do with maintaining historical consistency of the country's previous estimates. So the activity data was produced using a spatially explicit approach, or approach 3 by IPCC standards. We used the systematic sampling grids, and the exercise, which was done in 2017, included the period of 2001 to 2016 using the Open Forest Collector software from FAO. For the emission factors, we had the National Forest Inventory, which generated emission factors for the main forest types in Mozambique. It was finalized in 2017, and the country historically has produced these forest inventories every 10 years. For non-forest lands and mangrove forests, we use IPCC defaults, since there's no in-country information. So this is our FREL. You can see that we have activity data from 2001 to 2016, and the FREL is specifically from 2003 to 2013. And over this period, the country emitted almost 39 million tons of CO2 from deforestation. So since we had this activity data from that went up to 2016, we could calculate the emission reductions that occurred nationally during this period. So we can see that during these 3 years, the country managed to reduce emissions from its historical level by almost 79 million tons of CO2. So I would like to talk about a different activity that we have been implementing for quite a few years as well, which are the permanent sampling plots. These are a type of forest inventory that provides information on tree growth and dynamics. It's these plots that you revisit every few years, and you remeasure the same trees. It's fundamental for sustainable exploration of forest resources, so you know how fast your trees grow and how often you can cut them. And it's also an essential element of the new MRV that is being developed that focuses on biomass mapping. The permanent sampling plots are well defined in our national RED strategy, so that's why they were started. There are 100 permanent sampling plots planned at national level. The country has installed 25 between 2019 and 2022 with the support of the MOSFEEP project. These were installed in conservation areas throughout the country, covering different forest types as well. So the methodology for installation follows the well-established guidelines internationally. So it's a 1 hectare plot where every tree above 10 centimeters is measured, species are identified, and individual trees are tagged with a code. And there's also a very thorough quality assurance process that involves a different team remeasuring a part of the plot, a team consisting of technicians from the MRV unit, National Director of Forests, and academia. So the country, the MRV unit has a website where we put all our data, all our products, all the publicly available data. We have several web maps, and all our documents are also there. This specific one is about the statistics of deforestation and annual emissions. And you can see information at national level and also at provincial level. We also have statistical data at district level. So with regards to the next steps that we see as important, we would like to finalize the installation of our permanent sampling plot network and remeasurements of the existing plots. We would like to operationalize forest degradation monitoring tool, which we developed over the last year. We also want to develop a carbon enhancement tool for REDD+ as well, and continue implementing participatory MRV, which is an approach that I didn't talk too much, but it's basically taking forest monitoring to the communities, to the local level. And finally, we would like to also continue leading the way in the transition to MRV 2.0, which is a new approach that is being developed, and it consists on a focus on biomass mapping with using new technologies like LiDAR and such. Finally, to conclude, Mozambique has achieved significant emission reductions from deforestation from 2014 to 2016. We have developed an in-house MRV system that allows for annual monitoring of emissions from deforestation that can be used for REDD+ projects. It has already been validated in a regional project that we have. However, the sustainability of this system requires constant funding, and as some of our colleagues have discussed, this is a challenge, and so it's one of the things that we have to look forward to. So, thank you. Muito obrigado.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moody, for the presentation. Quite impressive amount of data and amount of work. I'm pretty sure that everybody will jump into the link because it's actually quite impressive, the information that's already available online. I then would like to kindly request from Niger, Daura Mamadou. Dr. Mamadou, please, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thiago. My name is Daura Mamadou. I'm from Niger. So I communication but in French. Par rapport à la transparence climatique, ce qu'il faut notifier, c'est le cadre d'opérationnalisation de l'accord de Paris. Nous, au niveau national, actuellement, nous avons reçu un appui de la promesse climatique du PNUD pour mettre en œuvre déjà un certain nombre d'activités. Mais en rappel, c'est le lieu de remercier la Belgique parce que tout simplement, depuis 2008 et 2018, nous sommes en collaboration avec la Belgique pour mettre en place un système national d'émission des inventaires de gaz à effet de serre. Et ce système, en tout cas actuellement, elle est opérationnel parce que nous avons une base de données sur la série 1990 jusqu'à 2019 en termes de données d'activité qui rentrent dans le cadre des émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Juste une présentation de mon pays. C'est un pays sahélien avec une superficie de 1 287 000 km² et qui est déjà sujette au fait, aux caprices climatiques, notamment la déforestation, avec une perte annuelle de forêt qui a été estimée à 19 920, mais également en termes de perte de terre, qui a été estimée à 5 millions, à 5 000 hectares par an. Pour dire qu'au fait, le Niger est l'un, en tout cas, des pays de l'espace UEMOA qui est sujet aux effets néfastes des changements climatiques. Par rapport à la transparence, peut-être nous allons regarder un peu les composantes du BTR, parce qu'en réalité, pour pouvoir cartographier les lacunes, pour passer dans le cadre de la transparence, il y a un certain nombre d'éléments qu'il faut regarder. Quand vous prenez l'article 13 de l'accord de Paris en ce qui concerne l'inventaire, c'est un chapitre au fait qui rentre dans le cadre de l'élaboration du BTR, qui est l'un des instruments de la mise en œuvre de la transparence. Et à ce niveau, il y a un certain nombre de lacunes quand même qui ont été notifiées, surtout en matière de données d'activité, pour passer du tiers 1 au tiers 2. Puisque nous actuellement, au fait, nous sommes dans le processus de la 4e communication nationale, mais nous sommes basés sur le niveau 1. Et ça veut dire que pour vraiment améliorer la transparence, il va falloir passer du tiers 1 au tiers 2. D'où il y a un travail, en tout cas, il faut faire à ce niveau par rapport aux données. Il y a une autre lacune, c'est en termes de renforcement des capacités, surtout pour prendre en compte la question du JAR. Parce qu'actuellement, au niveau de la Convention, quand vous prenez les plans d'action JAR et changement climatique, il y a un indicateur que nous renseignons, surtout au niveau du volet de renforcement des capacités. Et nous voulons que cette formation, par rapport au logiciel IPCC 2006, nous allons intégrer en tout cas la question du JAR par rapport à ça. Et quand vous prenez la mitigation également, aujourd'hui la plupart des pays ont soumis la NDC. Mais il y a une question certainement qui va se poser, la question du rapportage. Et donc à ce niveau, il va falloir qu'on élabore des indicateurs ou des tracking qui vont nous permettre de rapporter le niveau de réduction des émissions de nos CDN. Et ça, c'est vraiment un des lacunes, en tout cas, que nous allons chercher à pallier. Et quand vous prenez toujours par rapport à la mitigation également, il va falloir qu'on mette en place un système MRV. Et ne serait-ce que pour le volet émissions, mais également le volet des mesures d'atténuation. À ce niveau, il y a un travail en tout cas de renforcement des capacités qu'il va falloir faire à ce niveau. Quand vous prenez l'article adaptation, qui est un des chapitres également de la transparence, comme GAP, il y a toujours la question des données et informations qui se posent, parce que l'évaluation des impacts des mesures d'adaptation pose problème, surtout dans nos États. L'atténuation, c'est plus facile de le faire, mais avec l'adaptation, ce n'est pas facile. Il va falloir qu'on développe davantage des outils à ce niveau pour pouvoir apporter dans le domaine d'adaptation le niveau de progrès, en tout cas de nos États. Quand vous prenez les supports récifs également, en ce qui concerne les pays les moins avancés, l'article 9 à 11, au fait, à ce niveau, nous avons besoin d'un système robuste, ne serait-ce que les MRV de soutien. Qu'est-ce que le pays a mobilisé en termes de changement climatique, mais également en termes de renforcement des capacités. Ça veut dire qu'à ce niveau également, nous avons besoin en tout cas de mettre un système de monitoring qui permet de cartographier l'appui ou le soutien reçu de la part des pays développés envers les pays les moins avancés, comme le Niger. Toujours par rapport à ces éléments, quand nous prenons en tout cas les systèmes, l'article 6 qui parle de la mitigation, l'article 7 pour l'adaptation, le 13 et l'article 3 et 4 par rapport à la NDC, les besoins sont énormes. Donc il y a les besoins matériels en termes de capacité building, où il va falloir qu'on fasse de l'évaluation des mesures d'adaptation à travers un certain nombre des outils, mais également le renforcement des capacités humaines à travers des formations, à travers des mises en place de dispositifs MRV. Également, il y a un autre besoin par rapport au renforcement ou des capacités dans le domaine des ressources. au fait, à ce niveau, ça va permettre en tout cas au pays de mobiliser davantage beaucoup plus de ressources financières par rapport à la mise en œuvre de leurs activités. Par rapport aux besoins spécifiques également, quand vous prenez actuellement, nous, avec l'appui du NDC Partnership, nous voulons opérationnaliser notre système MRV. Et donc, à ce niveau, nous avons besoin des outils, une plateforme qui sera en ligne pour pouvoir traquer ou suivre les émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Mais également, nous voulons réaliser une situation de référence des indicateurs de nos NDC, parce que ça n'a pas été fait. Or, pour pouvoir traquer ou suivre le progrès de la mise en œuvre des NDC, il va falloir une situation de référence en termes des indicateurs qui sont au fait définis. Quand vous prenez toujours en termes des besoins, par rapport à la mise en œuvre de l'accord de Paris, nous avons également besoin d'un renforcement des capacités, surtout pour faire une analyse au fait des vulnérabilités, mais également une analyse socio-économique qui intègre les genres. Parce que c'est de ça qu'il s'agit toujours, ne serait-ce que pour le volet adaptation des NDC, mais également par rapport à l'article 6. Également, en termes de besoins également, le renforcement des capacités, surtout par rapport à l'utilisation des IPCC 2006, puisque c'est une recommandation. Dans les prochaines BTR, les pays développés ont l'obligation en fait, d'utiliser cet outil. Nous sommes dit en tout cas que le renforcement des capacités à ce niveau-là doit intégrer la question du genre, mais également ça va nous permettre au fait d'améliorer nos futurs NDC. Par rapport aux besoins également, nous nous sommes dit à ce niveau aussi, pourquoi ne pas au fait voir comment nous allons, où notre capacité sera renforcée par rapport aux analyses ou au technical training of analyze, puisque tout simplement ça va nous permettre au niveau national le document où tout ce qu'on fait quand même en termes de transparence, mais également en termes de l'assurance qualité pour pouvoir vraiment parfaire ce qu'on fait. Toujours au niveau des besoins, nous avons un comité NDC au niveau national, un comité technique qui fait le suivi de la NDC. À ce niveau-là, il nous faut un renforcement des capacités, surtout en termes de méthodes, mais également de procédures d'évaluation de projets, programmes qui sont intégrés dans les NDC. Là, par rapport aux activités de la promesse, donc à ce niveau, nous travaillons avec la promesse sur les 3 points. Le premier point, c'est sur la 4e communication nationale. Avec l'appui de la promesse, nous voulons soumettre cette communication d'ici décembre 2023. Mais également, le deuxième appui, c'est par rapport à l'élaboration de notre LDC, notre stratégie bas carbone, toujours avec la promesse climatique. Le troisième volet, c'est l'opérationnalisation de notre système MRV avec l'appui de la promesse climatique. Et les 3 autres volets également, actuellement nous avons notre partenaire qui nous appuie dans ce sens pour améliorer toujours davantage ou pour s'asseoir les cadres de transparence renforcés au niveau national. En dernière position, au fait ça c'est vraiment le système que nous voulons opérationnaliser au niveau national en termes d'arrangement institutionnel. Et donc là, nous avons un coordonnateur national du système MRV qui sera soutenu par un responsable MNV de mission, un responsable MNV de mesure, mais également un responsable de MRV de soutien. Chacun, au fait, dans son domaine spécifique, lié, ne serait-ce que par le processus de rapportage, pour pouvoir, au fait, s'asseoir un cadre de transparence intégrateur global qui prend en compte le rapportage de la CDN, mais également du BTR et les cadres de transparence renforcés en matière des actions climatiques au Niger. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mamadou. It's actually quite impressive how much assessment and details you had presented to us in regards to what are the needs and how we can actually further provide the enhancement of the capacity from Niger on the establishment of sustainable MRV systems. I'm pretty sure that several different colleagues here will be interested in further engage with Niger on that. Taking that in consideration, we do still have around 15 to 20 minutes. I would like to kindly open the floor for questions. If you do have questions, just come to the podium to do it at the microphone to facilitate for any of our presenters here today. Yes? Okay. Yes? Yes? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, okay. I think that our audience is either shy or the presentations were so clarifying that we don't have any questions. But in fact, I do have some questions to all the presenters on regards to considering the new rules under the ETF. What are the biggest challenges that you have on regards to the sustainability of the MRV? So considering that we have a continuous cycle, what it's actually the biggest challenge and how can we tackle that? So I would like then to start, if Dr. Tony, if you could start with your perspective, it would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Thiago. I think for like I said in my intervention, for small island state, the biggest challenge is capacity. We are very stretched thin. Take example Seychelles, only 90,000 population. So already we don't have that capacity to meet some of the requirements. So we are looking at a kind of system or framework that allows different parties, different entities to come together to meet these requirements. So for us is really establishing what is the right governance structure for us to comply with the new requirements. So, but yes, for small island, it's capacity. It's a big problem.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tony. I would like then to ask Mori to present that. And in addition to the initial question, it would also be interesting to listen from Mori. What are the costs and benefits of establishing such MRV system for RED Plus at a general level? So how the RED Plus can actually help on the general MRV system of the country?
Thank you, Thiago. So about your first question, I think the biggest challenge for Mozambique, and I work mostly with MRV for RED, so but I've participated in discussions on the national MRV. I think it would be to create a sustainable revenue stream that allowed for this system to develop and to be maintained. And I think results-based payments and RED Plus has a big role to play in that, because if you are establishing these systems and have this very expensive and heavy sort of machine that you built, you need to have some sort of revenue to pay for that. So that's a very important aspect. For Mozambique, I think the MRV for RED served as a sort of pilot, as a lead that can serve as a catalyst for the rest of the MRV system. So in terms of costs, it's not cheap in terms of, if you think about it. This team that started as 6 people and is now 15 people is expensive annually. For example, establishment of permanent sampling plots is with the quality and precision that we do is a very expensive endeavor. So, you know, one permanent sampling plot, including quality assurance, is like $30,000. So it's expensive, but it's what you need to be able to monitor, in our case, the forests. But once you have that system, then you can actually report on what your emissions are and what your results have been. And then you have to have a result from that. So you have to have payments for those results. Otherwise, I don't think the system can work.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muri. I then invite Dr. Mamadou to further tackle the initial question on regards to the sustainability, and also on the top of that, considering also the pictures that you had sent, what was the added value because of engagement of youth? Because as you can see in the pictures, you have quite interesting approach on that. Can you provide us with the lessons learned from Niger?
Merci. Par rapport à la question, au fait, par rapport aux leçons apprises, je l'ai dit, nous, on travaille au fait depuis 2018 avec un appui de la Belgique pour mettre en place le système national des inventaires des émissions de gaz à effet de serre. Déjà, nous avons une base de données qui prend en compte la série 1990 et 2019. Et cette base de données, au fait, va nous faciliter beaucoup plus, surtout pour le passage du BUR au BTR. Puisque nous avons eu pas mal de renforcement des capacités, surtout à travers la Belgique, mais également à travers d'autres partenaires par rapport à cette question. Les leçons apprises également, nous sommes rendus compte au niveau national, quand je prends mon pays, les émissions de gaz à effet de serre sont issues du secteur de l'élevage. Parce que le Niger, c'est un pays où nous avons 49 millions de têtes de bétail. C'est énorme. Mais nous utilisons le facteur d'émission par défaut. Actuellement, nous sommes en réflexion pour voir au niveau avec l'université pourquoi ne pas la recherche au fait pour un étudiant pour financer sa thèse pour vraiment développer le facteur d'émission spécifique au niveau national. Actuellement, nous sommes en tout cas dans cette réflexion au niveau national. Toujours par rapport à des leçons apprises, je l'ai dit, nous avons un système MRV national. Là, avec la NDC, la CDN, il y a un comité technique national qui est mis en place. Donc là, nous voulons vraiment que le système MRV soit un système intégrateur au fait, qui va prendre en compte les outils de rapportage du NDC, mais également les autres documents ou les autres processus au niveau de la Convention. Ça, c'est vraiment une des leçons, en tout cas, prises dans ce processus. C'est là où, d'ailleurs, je salue la promesse, parce que c'est que sur en janvier, nous allons commencer à travailler avec la promesse pour personnaliser ce système MRV au niveau national. Voilà.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we do have a question from the audience. I ask Adérito to come before he makes the question. Yeah, please, just to indicate that also after the question we also will hear from Alexandre on that. Please, Adérito.
Good afternoon, everyone. as you know, data is a big challenge for all of us. I would like to hear from you, how did you manage to have this source of information or source of data to regularly make this process going? Is the question for all of us. And for the Mozambique, I saw in the presentation that there is a decrease of greenhouse gas emission for last 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. What is the reason behind? We did manage to put any measure in place, or what is the secret?
Thank you very much, Adérito. I would like to first ask for Alexandre to start with the questions, considering then, again, Cabo Verde is preparing the 4th national communication. This topic of data that was raised by Adérito is actually a key aspect. So if you could share your experience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Really, data, it's a big challenge that we have. And in Cabo Verde, this challenge is bigger in the forest sector and in the land use sector. It's very challenging to have quality data with the quality and and disponible at the time that we need it. In the sector of industry and energy, the data is easier because they have a big, robust system to collect the data, so it's easier to manage this kind of data. But in the other sectors, we have this challenge. We are trying to improve the collection of this data through the inventory by the forest sector, through the inventory in the waste sector, because it's another challenge that we have to have a better data in the waste sector. So with the inventory, we try to make this data more robust, with more quality and disponible at the time. At this moment, we facing this challenge with our first BUR. Maybe we will not be able to end this BUR at the end of January, because we have difficulty to manage the data collection because our MRV system, it's not robust enough, and the institutional arrangement, it's not robust to make this data disponible all the time and easy to manage it. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, Dr. Tony.
Okay, thank you for the question. Like's been said, data is a huge challenge, and it still remains as a huge challenge. And as I indicated earlier, through the process that we're doing for the national communication, the BUR and the third national communication, we did identify the sort of data that are being collected, who are collecting it, and also what are the data gaps that exist. So I think through establishing the right MRV process, we need to be very cognizant of this challenge and establish mechanism that helps you address data challenges. And one of the things that we proposed was to have a data management system put in place in a way to not only manage the data, but also to try improve the data quality. So it is something that we would like to address, but data still remain a big challenge. There are sectors that data are readily available, they are collected, but there are certain sectors that it's very difficult and are not being collected or measured. So it's very challenging.
Please, Muri.
Thank you. So I think for us, for MRV, for RED, obtaining the data itself is a more technical issue rather than for the other maybe MRV systems which involve dealing with private institutions and energy agents. for us, there's a reason why, for example, our FREL only included deforestation, because that's what we could measure. And now we are still developing a methodology for forest degradation, which is very, very challenging in dry forests, because you have fires, you have, you know, shifting agriculture. It's very challenging. You know, also forest exploration, timber, illegal timber trade. So there's a lot of challenges there with obtaining the necessary data. With regards to the trend that the person that asked the question, yes, if I need the answer to that, I think I would I would be a very, very lucky person. No, we don't know that. We don't know the reasons. The trend indeed decreased a lot from 2014 or 2013 to 2016. The trend has been increasing since then. So 2017, 18, 19, it has been increasing. The collection of the data, so from 2017 onwards, we use a different methodology. And that's why it's not included in this period, because it's sort of a part of the next FREL, so to speak. But yes, it's more of a, I think, question for sociologists, economists to understand what factors led to this decrease over these years, and then what factors are leading to an increase, which we are seeing now. And I think 2020, we saw that we were reaching the levels of the previous levels, historic levels of deforestation, 2020, 2021. So it's not a question that I have an answer for.
Thank you, Muri. Dr. Mamadou, your answer, and I will ask at the end that you also present your closing remarks. We are almost at the end of the event, so please your question, well, your answers, and also your closing remarks. Thank you.
Bon, par rapport au challenge, ok. Et quand vous prenez par exemple, je prends par rapport à l'évaluation des impacts des mesures d'adaptation, en ce qui concerne surtout les MRV des mesures par rapport au reporting de l'adaptation. Pour mesurer en réalité l'impact des actions de l'adaptation au niveau national ou au niveau des communes, c'est difficile. Parce qu'il y a plusieurs paramètres qui rentrent en jeu. Vous avez les paramètres environnementaux, les paramètres socio-économiques, mais également la durée de l'action. Parce que là, en termes d'impact, il faut un seuil du moins, il nous faut un seuil pour pouvoir évaluer l'impact d'une mesure d'adaptation. Ça, c'est vraiment le challenge si on regarde un peu les composantes du BTR. Mais quand vous regardez, il y a l'aspect aussi des données. Le secteur a fallu la foresterie, parce que c'est là où se trouvent les changements d'affectation des terres, utilisation des terres, avec des matrices. Quand je prends le cas de mon pays, j'avoue qu'à ce niveau, en termes de données, il y a un challenge à faire. Parce que nous avons au fait une étude, la cartographie de nos forêts qui date de 2015, et c'est la seule étude. Or, pour pouvoir observer les changements d'affectation des terres, c'est sur plusieurs années. Donc, du coup, on était obligé de se rabattre, par exemple, sur les données de la FAO, Forest Data FAO, qui sont des données au fait globales, mais qui ne reflètent pas toujours la situation du pays. Voilà.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mamadou. Dr. Muri, your final remarks.
Okay. I think maybe just to highlight the work that we've done in Mozambique, that the MRV unit and the Red Plus that we've done is quite remarkable, I think, and this team that we have created of young forestry specialists and remote sensing specialists has established a very robust system that is growing and that it needs support to keep growing and to keep doing what it's doing. And I think it's a model that is worth for other countries to adopt. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Dr. Tony, closing remarks. Thank you.
From our side, what is important is to address the capacity challenges that small island state face. For us, what's important is we're not looking just to build capacity just to develop the system, but also to sustain the system. And we would like to see islands, the local are equipped to be able to carry out that process, because it's a process that will stay and a process that all countries will have to start complying. And we, as an island, we need to do it ourselves instead of only depending on external to come in and do it and then go. So it's important that we incorporate this capacity building within this process.
Thank you very much. Dr. Alexandre, please close the remarks.
Thank you. So you see we have a huge challenge to create a sustainable MRV system in the country, as it requires some institutional adjustment and legal reforms that we need to do, starting with the approval of the climate law, that maybe the next first semester next year we will approve the climate law, who will construct this framework, which will help us with this MRV system. And it's necessary to reinforce technical capacity and improve the data collection and the processing system of this data when they are collected. We are making progress, but it needs increased funding and the knowledge, transfer of knowledge will be needed for improve our capacity to implement MRV. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are actually exactly at the time to close the event. I really would like to actually thank each one of our speakers, and also to thank the government of Belgium for the support of the ECT. We have a great partnership with Belgium, and we also know that, as was presented by Cabo Verde here, that Luxembourg is also supporting Cabo Verde. We hope that we can also engage Luxembourg and Netherlands to further engage in the work that we are doing at the Francophone and the Lusophone cluster. Again, thank you very much for each one of you. Thank you very much for the participants. We will have additional events on the Francophone and Lusophone partnership here at the Benelux Pavilion. And please stay in touch and have a look at the calendar of the events, especially at the end of the next week. Some very good news will come also from this partnership. So again, thank you very much, and it was a pleasure to be here.